Hi, my name's Leo, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Xbox Series X in 2025. So the Xbox Series X was Microsoft's flagship console from 2020 and their answer to the PlayStation 5. So almost 5 years after its initial release, in this video we're going to be revisiting the Series X, looking at its design, performance, games, and checking out some hidden features. So hopefully this video will be useful if you're in the market for a games console. So to me anyway, it feels like this console was released yesterday, but it's actually approaching 5 years old, almost half a decade, which is crazy. And there are now rumours floating around that in 2027, only 2 years from now, there may be a new Xbox console. So is it worth waiting? So to start this video off, we're going to go back to 2013. This was an interesting year to be a console gamer because PlayStation and Xbox hadn't released anything since 2005, and the most powerful console at the time was actually the Wii U. Until later that year when Sony and Microsoft both released their new consoles. The PS4 was received pretty well as its marketing was very gamer focused.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks. Bruh.
On the other hand, there was the Xbox One. I don't know what Microsoft were thinking.
TV, watch TV, 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 TV remote, TV experience, TV, 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 TV.
They were essentially marketing this as a replacement for your Skybox, which no one was asking for. Now fast forward to the end of that console generation and PlayStation were on top. The PS4 had sold almost twice as many units as Xbox. So in 2020, Sony and Microsoft both announced new consoles, and this was a new opportunity for Xbox to win back gamers. So Microsoft went on to release the Series S, their more affordable console, as well as the Series X, their flagship console. So now, 5 years later in 2025, yes, the PS5 is the more popular console, but I do think the Xbox Series X is still a very compelling console and probably the better option for some people. So in this video, we're going to be revisiting the Xbox Series X, starting with the design. And as always, if you are enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Let's get on with the video. So we're now going to take a look at the design of the Xbox Series X. So the Series X has a very simple design. It's basically just a big black cuboid. The front of the console houses a very tactile feeling power button, a single USB port and controller pairing button, and a disk drive, unless you want to save 50 quid and get the digital only version. The top of the console has this fenestrated design. Is that the right word? Yeah, we'll go with it. The I/O on the back of the console has almost everything you might want. 2 USB ports, it would have been nice if there was a USB-C somewhere on this console, Ethernet, HDMI out, and a storage expansion card slot. Speaking of storage, you can either get the Series X with 1TB or 2TB. And the 2TB version costs £70 more, which is actually a good deal if you're going to want the extra storage, because the cheapest I could find a 1TB expansion card was actually £120.
Bruh.
In terms of the overall design, I actually prefer it to the PS5. It's definitely less eye-catching, but I think it suits my TV setup a bit better, and it stood the test of time because Microsoft have decided they don't need to release a slim variant, unlike the PS5. Now in terms of mounting options, you're able to stand the console upright on a rubber base and it's very stable. The same can't be said for my PS5 unfortunately. It also has 4 rubber feet so you can mount it sideways. In terms of cooling, the Series X sucks air through the back and blows out the top. The fan is very quiet and I've never had the console overheat. One thing I have noticed is this thing attracts a lot of dust. I think this is probably because the fan continues spinning even when the console's in standby mode. So this allows dust to continuously cycle through the console, so it may be worth investing in some dust filters. In terms of pricing, this version of the console still goes for £480 on the Microsoft Store. If you want a white console with no disk drive, then you can save £50 and go with the digital only version. Which version would you go with? Let me know in the comment section below. So we're now going to talk about the performance and how well it holds up in 2025. So in terms of specs, the Series X has 16GB of RAM, an AMD 8-core Zen 2 processor, RDNA GPU with similar performance to an RX 6700 XT. So at release, Microsoft promised 4K 120Hz gaming, but the reality is a bit different. In 2025, it's very rare to find a game that runs at native 4K. It usually uses some sort of upscaling to get the image looking sharp, and most games only run at 60 frames per second, with the occasional game like Call of Duty having a high frame rate mode which targets 120 frames per second, but this mode usually comes with a resolution trade-off. Most games I've played come with both the performance and quality graphical presets. For example, Elden Ring's quality preset targets in native 4K, but you're only getting about 30 frames per second, whereas the performance preset gets closer to 60 FPS, but it's only 1440p. Another game that I've been enjoying is the early access of Path of Exiles 2, and this game plays surprisingly well with a controller, but I did have to lower the graphics settings slightly to get a solid 60 FPS. So in conclusion, how is the performance in 2025? So it's definitely not the performance of a high-end gaming PC, but for casual gaming on your TV, the performance is definitely more than enough. And I've not come across any games that have been unplayable or looked game-breakingly bad. So one of my favourite features has actually been Quick Resume. This allows you to jump straight back into a game where you left off without having to go through any of the loading screens. This feature's perfect for someone like me who's indecisive and likes to jump between games frequently, and it ends up making the user experience of this console feel a lot snappier. So we're next going to talk about Xbox games. So this is an interesting topic because previously I would have defended the Xbox saying that it's got a whole range of decent exclusives such as Halo, Forza, Gears of War, but they're now all coming to the PlayStation 5, so they're no longer Xbox exclusives. So unfortunately, if you want the console with the best exclusives, it's going to be the PlayStation 5 because it's still actually got exclusives. But there is one redeeming factor when it comes to games on the Xbox Series X, and that is Game Pass. So you probably already know this by now, but Game Pass is a subscription service that gives you access to hundreds of games, and I'm nearly always able to find something that I want to play on Game Pass, which has saved me a lot of money straight up buying games for the Xbox. So if you are considering buying an Xbox, take a look at what games are available on Game Pass, because you'll probably end up saving money going with Game Pass rather than just buying games outright. As someone that owns both an Xbox and a PlayStation, I have found that gaming on Xbox has been cheaper, and not just because of Game Pass. It seems to be that you can get better deals on Xbox games than PlayStation games. So next, let's take a closer look at the Xbox controller. So here it is, the Xbox controller. You've probably seen one before. It's a very comfortable, solid feeling controller, but with no bells and whistles. All the buttons feel fine and are comfortable to press. The back is made of this scratchy textured plastic, and there's a headphone jack at the bottom to connect a headset. Something that Xbox controllers are known for is taking AA batteries. So if you want to recharge the controller, you're going to have to invest in a third-party battery pack. So my overall impression of this controller is that it's fine. It gets the job done and it's comfortable, but it's definitely lacking a lot of features that the PlayStation DualSense controller has, such as a touchpad and adaptive triggers. But the main issue that I've had with the Xbox controller has actually been reliability. In the 3 years I've owned this console, I've been through 4 controllers and they've all died because of the same thing: stick drift. And this is because Microsoft don't put Hall effect sticks in their controllers. PlayStation are guilty of this as well, which means that their controllers are prone to stick drift, which essentially writes off a controller. So I now use a third-party Xbox controller with Hall effect sticks and I've not had any issues. But I do think this controller reliability issue does need to be addressed. On a more positive note, you can actually plug a mouse and keyboard into your Xbox and play it like a PC. And finally, I just want to touch on exclusive accessories, which unfortunately is another area where Microsoft are lacking. For example, if you're interested in VR gaming, then you're better off with a PlayStation because there currently isn't an Xbox VR headset. So finally, I'm just going to touch on the rumours surrounding a new hardware release in 2027. So there's been rumours that there may be a new Xbox console releasing in 2 years. And from what I've heard, it may be a handheld device very similar to the Steam Deck, also running SteamOS. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what Microsoft cook up. And if it runs SteamOS, it will be interesting to see what games you can play on it, because a lot of PlayStation exclusives such as Ratchet & Clank God of War are on the Steam store. So is this the end of console exclusives? Let me know in the comment section below. So anyways, that's going to wrap this video up on the Xbox Series X in 2025. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and if you have enjoyed, drop us a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see everyone in my next video.